MSA British Endurance Championship from Rockingham. Much sunnier than last time. We caught up with some of the drivers a bit earlier on. I'm joined by Adam Sharp. Adam, tell us what's going on right now.
We had a good qualifying session. Yep. Obviously qualified on pole, which was great. First time in the car, so it's good to be back in an open cockpit car from my prototype days of a few years ago. It's nice to be back and in the air. We've got a little bit of a fuel pressure issue, so we're just looking at the pumps now just to see what could be the problem there. Hopefully they'll resolve it, and apart from that I'm just too tall for it. I'm just getting all sorts of knee problems and feet problems and all sorts.
I love this, like it's the first time you just realised how tall you are. Where have you been since last year?
Racing in Germany a lot, doing a lot of the VLN races at the Nürburgring, and just come back from the 24 hours. Had a very good last race for the VLN, won that, we're on pole and won that, got fastest lap, but the 24 hours we had a bit of an issue. Car's very strong, but had a bit of a failure early on in the race, which was a shame.
And focusing on this race, you think you guys are definitely going to go out there?
Going to give it a go, yeah. I think Mike's going to start, I'm not too sure, and then I'll do the middle stint and see what happens. You know, the Aston's really, really quick. The motor's obviously got its problems today, so it's a small field, but yeah, we'll have some fun.
I'm joined by Chris Hart. Chris, can you talk us through the season so far for you guys?
Yeah, been a bit of a roller coaster for us. The car, when it's going, has been going really, really well. Track Talk have been doing a great job. Field Multisports really makes an engine that goes. But unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of pre-season testing, so the gremlins that you tend to have, we've had in the first two races. So we've had real good pace, but just not reliability, unfortunately. But we had an engine change last night. Still things that were gremlins from Silverstone. The pace is looking good. Tommy's not with me this weekend, but Henry's jumped in the car. He's getting on the pace now. So I'm going to start the race and then do the first 2 hours. Henry's going to finish it, and he's had some time now, so he's getting there on the times as well.
So looking at, say, today, for instance, the weather is stunning.
Yeah.
Is that one advantage for you guys as well?
I don't mind it either way. We actually go really well in the wet, but it's actually better in the dry. So we seem to have the pace today, so quite looking forward to it.
Javier, first of all, well, tell me what's happened with the car.
Well, engine died. We've been looking at the data all through weekend, and oil pressure wasn't so good, and it was giving some signs of being tired, the engine, and it died. There's nothing we can do. It did it on the worst possible time, which is the qualifying.
Yeah.
So we have no time, no engine, no possibility to race.
So going from here, is it a simple case of just getting a new engine, or is there more faults within the car?
Well, it's a bit more complicated. We need an engine, we need the time to fit it, which is not realistic. So there's no chance of getting into the race.
So moving forward, I think we've got, a few weeks to the next race. Do you think you can get the car sorted for then?
Yeah, definitely. It's not a difficult job. It takes days only, but yeah, we need an engine in those days. So it's not to do it all today, but definitely do it all for the next race.
Good. Well, I look forward to seeing you at the next race, and thank you for still smiling.
Why not? What can we do? Thank you.
I can't think of a day in living history when Javier Morcillo hasn't had a smile on his face, even though the Cintrano Mosler is going no further. The Rapier is still in the pit sorting out that fuel pressure problem, so it's Bailey and Schulz in the horsepower Aston that'll lead away with Loggie and Jones in the Parker Porsche. It's the Webbs in their BMW M3 just in front of the GT4 Chevron of Reed and Grimes. The Chevron GR8 of the Track Talk Chevron boys of Henry Dawes and Chris Hart will be 7th just in front of the Fold Sport Ginetta. The Simpson Porsche of Cook and Mott line up in front of the Chevron GT3 of Jordan Witt and Marcus Clutton. An interesting circuit, the Rockingham Motor Speedway, designed back in the year 2000, of course, for the IndyCar series, and so that means we'll be incorporating the oval, at least in the first part of the circuit, flat out through turn 1. hugging the wall on the exit of the corner. You have to get things absolutely spot on if you want to make an overtaking move. And we ride on board with Anthony Reid in the GT4 Chevron as he negotiates the first left-hander hairpin at Dean. Down the short straight towards the right-hander, a square right at Yentwood. Hugging the curb on the entrance and kissing it on the apex. And down towards Chapman Curve for another flowing right-hander as you head for Piff Paff, almost flat out on the throttle, into the left and into the right. And this sets you up very nicely indeed for the left-hander at Kirby. A double apex left-hander, wide on the first, tight on the second, and then down the steel straight, which will lead you to another flowing left-hander. This is Gracelands. You don't brake, you blip the throttle if you want to get through there quickly, and it's difficult to pick a line. Out of Gracelands, and you can get a good run on your opponent here to make a perfect overtaking move into the tight right-hander, 180 degrees at Tarzan. Get the exit of this right, and you've got plenty of speed at your disposal as you pass the paddock down School Straight. Then you hook things up very nicely indeed for the final chicane. Left, right, left at Brook. Perfect ending to the lap, and it takes you back onto the main straight, where once again you'll feed the throttle flat out and you'll virtually rub the wall in your attempt to get a good lap in. 2.5 miles of one of the trickiest circuits in the United Kingdom, and what a challenge they'll have for 3 hours of flat out racing. So here we go then for the third round of the MSA British Endurance Championship here at Rockingham. Our camera cars are James and Tom Webb in the 69 BMW, Chris Hart and Henry Dawes in the Track Talk Chevron in Class 2, and it'll be the GT4 Chevron of Ray Grimes and Anthony Reid. Dwindling numbers, sadly, for this race at Rockingham. Several reasons for it. Some teams are waiting on spare parts. Others have got mechanical problems that have crept in due to the lack of testing in the early part of the season. As Chris Hart was talking about earlier, those early season snows really have caught the cars out. Also, some teams just like to play a joke around, and it seems that many of them have picked Rockingham as their joker. But here we go. Good start from the man at the front of the field, Andy Schulz. He's already made a break ahead of Ian Logie. Chris Hart is there in third position. Webb is there in fourth position. Not for long, though. Here's Anthony Reid trying to go around the outside, and James Webb can do nothing about it. Anthony Reid outbrakes him, and he looks like he's already making his move on Chris Hart. Round the outside for the third race in a row. The Chevrons from different teams are going to go wheel to wheel. Ding, ding, round 3. Good start from Flick Haig in the Ginetta as well, having made a move past James Webb, and here's Jordan Witt trying to make the same move. So it looks like James Webb is going backwards through the field at the moment as Jordan Witt on the inside. Here he goes at Chapman Curve. Is he going to get past James Webb? Yes, indeed. Well, I have a feeling that the Webbs are going to play the long game here. They may have a heavier fuel load, which means they could only make one stop throughout this race. On board now with Chris Hart in the Track Talk Chevron. Definitely giving the works cars a run for their money this year. Blipping the throttle through Gracelands they go, but out in front it is the Aston of Andy Schulz. There is no Neil Garner-Mosler to challenge them. Javier Morcillo and Manuel Cintrano will be kicking themselves in frustration. They want to be out there, they want to be racing for the win, but they'll have to wait till next time at Brands. This is a perfect moment for Schulz and Bailey to take their second win, not only in a row, but also of their British Endurance Championship careers, outright at least. So through Brook they go for the first time as everybody feeds through, desperately trying to gain some ground. Through goes Schulz in the lead. Logie and Hart, here they are in the Porsche and Chevron, battling it out for victory in the early stages. They're running behind the Aston. It looks like Chris Hart's lining up a move. Flat out through the first corner. Has he got enough momentum to take Ian Logie down towards Dean? I don't think he does. No, Ian Logie is able to brake much later for the left-hander, and through they go with the GT3 of Jordan Witt looming ever closer. I have a feeling it won't be long before this is a three-way battle into the right-hander. Jordan Witt is closing in through Yentwood. Up the short run to Chapman Curve and closing in on his teammate there, Anthony Reid, in the 97. I doubt he's going to put up much of a fight. No, indeed, Jordan Witt sails straight through and up into fourth position. We look a little further up the road and we can see Chris Hart in the Track Talk Chevron desperately trying to lunge for Ian Logie in the Parker Porsche. This is the championship leading car, of course, the Porsche, and he's being attacked by a swarm of the Chevron squadron. Here they come. Chris Hart leading the bandwagon in the customer car, the Track Talk Chevron, and it's the works cars in fourth and fifth. Here they come. Ian Logie's going to wonder what on earth he got up for this morning. Attacked by Chevrons from all quarters, left, right, centre, and Chris Hart is putting up a brilliant fight at the moment. But Ian Loggy, no slouch, certainly proving himself. Races in one of the single-make Porsche Championships as well. And this is definitely great training for him. He's been testing a British touring car recently as well with the Speedworks team. And he's certainly going to use that skill and that hard effort he put in that test here. Let's have a listen. Flat out through the first corner, but Chris Hart has got him. He's got him on the undercut. Surely he can get through down to Dean Hairpin. No, Loggy once again later on the brakes, and if he holds that inside line, fantastic driving from Ian Loggy. His defence is masterful. Sign him up for the Premiership. He certainly knows how to handle it. So Hart is there, and he better get past Loggy quick because Jordan Whitty's on his tail, and here he goes up the inside. Can he get Ian Loggy this time? Taking it into the inside line. Oh, he nearly loses it on the curve. And at Chapman, he gets through up into second place. Brilliant move on Ian Loggy, and I doubt it's going to be too long before Jordan Witt repeats the move in the GT3 Chevron, and if he's not careful, he'll get taken by Anthony Reid in the GT4 as well. This is fantastic. The Chevron GT Cars team are now getting into their own, and they'll want to catch up with the Tractor car as quickly as they possibly can. Jordan Witt on the inside at Gracelands. It's not an easy corner to make a move. He's not quite made it there. Loggy shuts the door. Now Jordan Witt switches to the inside. Up at Tarzan, he makes the move, beautifully done, and up into third position, and here comes Anthony Reid to follow as well. Magnificent. Ian Loggy, what on earth has he got to do to get these chevrons off his back? He's driving brilliantly in the Parker Porsche, but he can afford to play the long game here. He knows that he may be losing places hand over fist, but this race is not won in the first 5 laps. It's a 3-hour enduro, and with plenty of time still to go in this one, you can bet that we haven't seen the best of this yet. Plenty more action still to come. Bring it on.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Round 3 of the 2013 MSA British Endurance Championship here on the Rockingham Motor Speedway, and it's that man, Andy Schulz in the Aston Martin, who leads the way. Second, a little further up the road from this bunch, is the Chevron GT3, Jordan Witt behind the wheel, and the Track Talk Chevron, the little GR8, is there in third position with Chris Hart behind the wheel. We're on board with him. Down the main straight and through turn 1, he'll fly flat out on the oval. And we went to say, hang on a minute, that doesn't quite sound right. Something's wrong. Something's definitely wrong on the Track Talk Chevron. There goes the Parker Porsche. Ian Loggy's flown past, and Anthony Reid in the 97 Chevron GT4 has gone past as well. So something's definitely happened with the Track Talk Chevron. Chris Hart loses 2 places in the blink of an eye. Here we go. Now let's have a listen. No, I can't really hear anything untoward there. Maybe it was just a brief misfire. Something has happened there in the Track Talk Chevron that's cost him 2 places, and that's really put them on the back foot. And look out behind you, mate, because you've got Flick Haig hot in your tail in the Fold Sport Ginetta. One of the finds of the 2012 season. They won their class in this very car on their debut in the season finale at Donington last year, and now they're already a championship contender for 2013, battling it out with the likes of the GT4 Chevron. Just a little way up the road from these 3, and behind Flick Haig is James Webb in the Team Webb BMW. Up the inside, no, she doesn't get through on Chris Hart. Very nearly took the nose off that car. She was wise to back out of it. James Webb following behind. Oh, and it looks like they've both got past the Chevron now. Yes, there goes the Ginetta, there goes the BMW. Chris Hart losing places hand over fist into the pits. Now let's listen. Yeah, now that definitely doesn't sound healthy. Something definitely wrong then in the Track Talk Chevron. Disaster for Chris Hart and the entire team. They were saying at the start of the program they've just got all their mechanical problems thrown at them in the races, and it's hampering their development. That's what happens when it snows for days and days on end in the winter. You can't get your car out on a racetrack, you can't iron out the kinks. And that's what's affecting a lot of teams in the championship. Here we go into turn 1. 3 cars fighting for Class 3. The Chevron GT4, the Fold Sport Ginetta G55, and the BMW M3 CSL of Team Webb round the outside of Flick Haig, down to Dean Hairpin. She hangs it out and breaks very late. And now she's hot on the heels of Anthony Reid. Brilliant, look at this fight. Anthony Reid leading, Flick Haig second, James Webb third. This is brilliant Class 3 honours fought out on this very circuit. And I wouldn't count out James Webb of putting in quite an astonishing comeback here. The team like to play the long game when it comes to the British Endurance Championship. They start slow and then they make their way back up through the field, particularly in the latter half of the race. Do not be surprised to see the BMW make its way through to the front of Class 3. They're biding their time, although they seem to want to have a bit of a wheel-to-wheel race. Nobody would think this is a 3-hour enduro. Who cares about the quantity of the grid when the quality of the racing is this high? Fantastic. Reed, Haig, Webb, out of Greystands and down to Tarzan. Is there going to be a move made for the lead? No, Anthony Reed guards the inside line very carefully. That Chevron GT4 battling hard, and here comes Flick Haig up the inside. She takes the lead in Class 3. Magnificent driving, and is James Webb going to get there too? No, the door is slammed firmly shut in his face. Don't you dare, bucko. Anthony Reed hanging on to the tail of Flick Haig in the Ginetta. This is the best battle on track by far, and Flick Haig hits the front, the fast female. A star in Caterhams in the past. Ryan Ratcliffe is desperately going to want to get his hands on that Ginetta if it's in that form. Chris Hart getting back into the Track Talk Chevron. Sadly, no Tommy Field this weekend. He's away doing other things, so it's going to be Henry Dawes, hopefully, that will get a chance to go and run in that car, although looking at the way things are in the pits for them, that could be a tall order in and of itself. Now, those are the 3 cars battling in Class 3, and there is Andy Schulz in the Aston Martin coming up to lap this battle. That Aston Martin might as well be a slot car running on a scale extra track right now. It is bolted to the ground as out goes Chris Hart in the Chevron GR8 out onto the circuit. And here comes the Rapier. My goodness, that is a wonderful sight to see. Mike Millard and the boys at the Rapier team have got that car going again by the look of it. Are they going to send it back out onto the circuit? They're trying. As long as they can find first gear, we may well see another Class 1 out onto the circuit. And of course it is the car that should be on pole position for this race. Well, it was the fastest car, and Mike Millard is taking it out onto the circuit. They may be a few laps down, but they are still up for points in this one. It's always worth gunning for, especially if they can complete enough laps to get onto the podium in class. There goes Andy Schulz lapping Anthony Reed in the Chevron GT4. Still battling it out with James Webb in the BMW, and this is actually going to give Flick Haig a bit of an advantage in the Ginetta, because that's going to space out the Ginetta and the Chevron, although not for long. Blue flags wave, and Flick Haig, a very sportsmanship move from the Ginetta there. Now James Webb getting it on with Anthony Reed down the inside. He's got a good build-up. Anthony Reed breaks late, but James Webb is up the inside. Yes, he's got the Chevron. So into second place on the exit of the Dean hairpin and down towards Yentwood. James Webb is now making the comeback. Oh, and that's the GT3 in. That's Jordan Witt bringing the Chevron in very early. That does not look scheduled. Oh dear, the car coming to a very slow crawl, and the Chevron boys not really sure what to make of it at the moment. Well, there is the Rapier back on track. Mike Millard behind the wheel. I would not be surprised if this car shows up the Aston in terms of fast pace in one lap. That's the car I'm tipping to get the fastest lap today, provided it stays out long enough and fast enough to do it. Out on track again is the Chris Hart Chevron. It looks like they bashed their camera at some point. The angle is decidedly different to what it was, but that car is sounding a lot better than it was. Now the boys at Cosworth going to work on the GT3. Things not quite right down in the pits then. Meanwhile, throughout all of this, Peter Cook in the Simpson Motorsport Porsche has been driving very serenely. No problems in that car at all. They're quietly getting on with things in the Red Route Porsche, and they're starting to show themselves to be a very amicable race team, very well prepared, very professional, getting on with things. And while everybody else panics and things break down, they are motoring on. Speaking of panicking, I have a feeling that Chevron are sweating for several reasons. The GT3 still in the pits, and back in the pits again comes the Track Talk Chevron of Chris Hart. Oh dear, the pit lane is starting to get littered with Chevrons, and not for any of the right reasons either. It's certainly not victory lane. If anything, they're biting the dust as in the pits now, engine off, and the back of the car is taken off the car so they can inspect the engine once again. Things not going so well for them now. Meanwhile, back on track, the Aston Martin still running like a metronome on the circuit, and more repair work needed doing then on the GR8 Chevron. Oh, and that's not a good side either. The Rapier's back in. They're dropping like flies here. Well, it looks like they're manoeuvring the GT3 back into the garage. Oh my word, this really is a race of attrition. I said at the start it is the most challenging of all the British Championships. 3 hours of hard, fast racing and the cars are struggling. Rachel's down in the pits. What can she tell us?
Now, by looking at this, it looks like that's it, end of the race, but you've said there 20 minutes perhaps. You'll be back out there?
Well, we're hoping so. The guys have told me 20 minutes. The only problem is it's in a pretty hot place, but a few drinks for the guys and some asbestos gloves and we're away, we hope.
That sounds like a wonderful Saturday night. So what exactly has happened?
Well, it's just an alternator problem that we've got at the minute.
Yeah.
We're not quite sure what's caused it. We never know what's caused these things. It's very disappointing, of course, because we started from the back of the grid and Jordan had taken the car all the way up to second position, worked his way through the field, and then we end up with a daft little electrical problem, which is annoying, but these things happen. The good news is the GT4 is still out there, still whizzing round, and with the pit stop strategy we've got, we're only going to do one stop. We expect that to have some bloody good results this afternoon. So that finishes where we hope it does, and this one gets repaired in 20 minutes. It's not a bad day's work for the guys.
David Witt, I think he should join forces with Javier Morcillo and join the Smile No Matter What brigade. They always have a smile on their face no matter what's going on. You just saw the GT4 out there running very well indeed. The Rapier getting back onto the circuit. The Chevron GR8 of Track Talk still in the pit lane, and into the pits comes Andy Schulz. Now this is a scheduled pit stop. The horsepower Aston, as Schulz hands over to Paul Bailey. Ian Logie still out there in the Parker Porsche. Now this is what a well-oiled, well-drilled pit stop should look like in the British Endurance Championship. Driver out, fuel in, then once the fuel is done, next driver gets in, then you change all the wheels. You've got to make sure that the right amount of team members are doing each specific job on the car. And if you've done it right to time, that's exactly how it should go. Engine back on, back into the race you go, Paul. Great job from the Horsepower Racing boys. Scuderia Vittoria helping them to get used to this Aston all the way. Into the pit lane comes Anthony Reid now to hand over to Ray Grimes, who was there with the stop board. Very nearly got his toes run over there. He's a brave man. Out goes the Track Talk Chevron. Oh, go on, Chris, find first gear. That's such a frustrating moment as they pray and pray that they've got things right on the car. Back out onto the circuit it goes. Have they ironed out the problems, or is there still more issues? Well, there's Ray Grimes getting out of the pit lane in the 97. Anthony Reid will have a nice cool drink, I bet. Very different conditions in this race compared to what we had in the first two offerings at Donington and Silverstone. It was rain all day long pretty much. Here, bone dry sunshine. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Into the pit lane comes the Rapier. Mike Millard. This doesn't look terribly scheduled. I think there's more problems. Adam Sharp eyeing up the car hungrily. He wants to have a go in it, but I have a feeling he might have to wait until the issues with the car are ironed out before he even gets his race suit done up. The Rapier still having some kind of fuel pressure problem. They're checking something with the front end of the car, maybe a downforce related issue, something with the skirts. All too technical for me. Ray Grimes comes through. Oh, it seemed like there was a puff of smoke out of the back of that Chevron as he went through. Fortunately, looks like it was just a premature incident. Oh, more technical issues with the Rapier. Never a good sign, although it looks like it's a quick fix. The Track Talk Chevron back out on circuit with Chris Hart still at the wheel. No doubt at half distance now he'll hand over to Henry Dorse so he can get his stint in. But again, I wonder if there's a little puff of smoke in that Chevron. It's difficult to tell when it's dust coming off the tyres and when there's a mechanical gremlin. The Rapier goes back out, hoping once again to steal a podium finish in class from this race. It certainly won't be top 3 overall. There is the top 3 overall. Bailey and Schulz are leading in the Aston. Logie and Jones are there in second, and Ratcliffe and Haig are third. Plenty still to come, don't go away.
Some of the biggest upheavals in American sports is in the world of motor racing, especially sports car racing. There's mergers, new series being proposed, audiences coming and going, drivers getting younger and younger. That's why you need the Racing Insiders on MAV TV to help you navigate the turmoil. The Racing Insiders is a new, weekly, 30-minute news show covering sports car racing, whether it's being done professionally, globally, or by the local grassroots club. Award-winning journalist Bill Wood will host the weekly discussions, along with race-winning insiders Peter Keene in Florida and Jim Daniels in Tennessee. It's a fast-paced, edgy sports show. They'll even reach out to guest insiders to bring you behind-the-scenes insider information you'll want to know. This new era in sports car racing needs the Racing Insiders.
The Racing Insiders on MAV TV, Thursdays at 2 and 5 p.m. Eastern, and again on Saturdays at noon.
Into the pit lane then comes the Team Parker Porsche as Ian Loggy gets out and Chris Jones will get in. That is a very tired looking Ian Loggy, and I don't blame him, leading the way in Class 2 and contesting this car now for the overall championship lead. It's all going to come down to fastest laps in class and how well they have put in their efforts in the third round of the championship. Paul Bailey out there in the Aston Martin as Chris Jones gets going again in the Team Parker Porsche. So Andy Schulz and Ian Loggy have done the hard work of building up the advantage. Now it's up to Bailey and Jones to keep the momentum flowing. Chris Hart there chasing down James Webb and Flick Haig. All three cars doing a longer stint then before they change their drivers. And Chris Hart pushing very hard. James Webb still getting the better of him at the moment. Is there enough grunt in the chevron to beat James Webb to the first corner? Certainly enough to run alongside him, and he's got him under braking. In fact, I think James Webb in the BMW might have just blipped the brake a little bit there, and that was enough to get the Track Talk chevron back up past. They're several laps down, of course, but it's still pride that they're fighting for now. They're able to take on the Team Webb BMW and pass legitimately. No issues there. That's the Rapier SR2 chasing them down as well. Mike Millard just trying to keep that car in good rhythm at the moment. Obviously a few technical hitches that need to be ironed out. And all the track time that is possible in a 3-hour race is not only good for racecraft, but it's also great development. David Witt at the Chevron GT Cars team tells me that even if you're not running well in a 3-hour endurance race, the testing and track time that you can get out of it is absolutely vital in terms of coming back for the next race. Up the inside goes Chris Hart in the Track Talk car and runs wide on the exit through Gracelands and somehow manages to hold on to the position. Flick Haig has been well and truly beaten there. The Rapier gets through, and I wonder if that's going to put her on the back foot for fighting with James Webb in the Team Webb BMW M3. Meanwhile, the Rapier continues on. The only thing they can really take out of this race is a podium in class and possibly the fastest lap. Back into the pits comes Chris Hart again. I make that the third or fourth time they've made a pit stop in this race, and none of them have been to plan. The Track Talk chevron coming in very slowly. I wonder if that's going to be the last time we see it, or if they're just going to sit in the pits another few laps and work on some more. Here we go. Once again, Flick Haig versus James Webb. Down to the Dean hairpin. No, he's not getting through there. Flick Haig is definitely keeping the pace up. That is such a disappointing sight. For the second race in a row, we see the Track Talk chevron with the boot up and several problems in that machine. Still, Flick Haig holds off from James Webb. The Fold Sport team must be crossing fingers, toes, arms, legs, you name it, in the hope that she can keep in front of James Webb. In terms of strategy, that's going to be vital for her to keep that position. They want to grab a class win here, and they're certainly looking good for it at the moment. When she hands over to Ryan Ratcliffe, the biggest possible advantage required will be so beneficial. Off the final corner, Brooke down the main straight once again. James Webb still pursuing, trying to get that manoeuvre, and they better watch out because Ian Loggy, sorry, no, it's not Ian Loggy now, is it? It's Chris Jones in the Team Parker Porsche, chasing them down, trying to lap them. Oh, this is the moment. James Webb on the inside of Flick Haig. That is full position, and that's for the leading class. Oh, Flick Haig has done so much hard work to keep James Webb back, but James just got her perfectly lined up for the first corner, but she isn't done yet. Flick Haig still determined to keep pushing on. It's not going to be long before either car makes their pit stops, and Rachel is down in the pits with more info.
Seems like a lot more of an easier race. You've got less competition, so therefore less overtaking. Is that the case or not?
Later on there it was definitely the case because we really started to get spaced out, but initially for the first, I'd say 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that, it was all quite tight and quite tense, and I was the blue and white chevron was giving me quite a bit of pressure for a period of time. I eventually got past it, but I think they had something wrong and we eventually got passed into second place. So Yeah, it is spaced out, although it's really fast round the tight circuit there.
Yeah.
And this circuit doesn't really suit the 911 in my opinion. It's the chevrons, etc., are much nimbler and better cars going round the infield here would gain a bit on the oval, but it's a good race. I think I come in second. Chris is back out. We're sitting fourth at the moment after the pit stop, so fingers crossed.
So with that in mind, knowing that, you know, with the car you've got and how fast this circuit is, what have you done? What have you tailored around your driving? Have you changed anything?
Just more practice. Just keep doing the testing, keep putting in the seat time, and I've raced here in the Boxsters a few times before, so I know the track reasonably well. But again, the Cup car's it's a much quicker car, and it's a lot more difficult to handle in field. Yeah. But to be honest, just more seat time.
That's all there is to it.
That's it. Well, I think so.
Ian Loggy there just chatting to Rachel. Oh dear, that's such a disappointing sight. The Track Talk Chevron being wheeled into the garage, and I have a feeling that could be the last we see of it. 2 races on the trot. Meanwhile, Peter Cook has handed over to Anthony Mott in the Simpson Motorsport Porsche, the red route car. Again, they're just quietly getting on with it. No problems in that machine, and they could get a very strong result as a finish of this one. Flick Hager's got out of the Ginetta to hand over to Ryan Ratcliffe, and it looks like James Webb is coming in to hand over to Tom Webb. So the scheduled pit stops for the drivers are now taking place. There is James Webb getting out. Interesting comments from Ian Loggy. We said that the chevrons are matching the Porsches. The chevrons actually doing better on the infield section. Let's take a look at the 2 chevrons from the 2 different teams. These are practically the same car. The GR8 of the Track Talk Chevron down below, and the Works GT4 Chevron up above of Anthony Reid. This is from earlier on. Take a look at the way that they run the lines. These are very similar cars, and just watching them on the lap, you can see that the different setups make for different driving styles. You can see that up above, Anthony Reid is able to attack the curbs a lot more smoothly, a lot more refined. He's a little bit later onto the apex. He's not quite as rough on the curbs. He's got a smoother line through, whereas Chris Hart, the Track Talk Chevron, is able to be a little bit tighter on the curbs, is a lot more aggressive and able to get a lot more time as a result of that. That's why we see the Track Talk Chevron right up there in the early stages of the race. Look, they're much closer, using much more curb. They've obviously been able to set up the Chevron GR8 in a way that gives them a lot more ability. They're not so much hampered by understeer, perhaps, as the Chevron GT4 is, but Anthony Reid loves being able to drive around problems. And he said to me, this is still the ultimate championship. It's not like the Endurance Series where you get 1 hour races or 45-minute races in some of the other championships in Britain. This is 3 hours. It's the ultimate test of man and machine and pit strategies. Coming from a background of Group C racing, this is his ultimate love. So interesting to see the 2 different laps from the 2 different chevrons and the 2 different driving styles of a similar piece of machinery. Into the pits comes the Fold Sport Ginetta, and that's not scheduled. Something's gone wrong there on the pit stop. I wonder if that's the same pit stop that we saw earlier on, or whether they've come out and then come back in again. Anthony Mott in the Simpson Motorsport Porsche, still driving on absolutely perfectly. No issues so far with that car, and that's going to give them a very strong finish by the end of this one. A podium in class is exactly what they've been fighting for all season, and they're certainly looking good for that. While Ryan Ratcliffe in the Ginetta is going out, and who's Rachel found down in the pits?
Flick, you were just saying then, like, how hot you are. You've never raced that car in this weather.
Not that particular model, no. I did the G50 in Dubai, but that's obviously got better cooling, and you adapt to it once you've done a few laps and everything, but that was something else.
And how are you finding it out there, or is the heat just been so stifling?
No, it's fine. You do learn to switch off from it. It's when you stop and get out of the car you realise how hot you are. Yeah. But no, it was very busy, especially at the start, but it's good fun.
Flick Haig talking about how hot she was out of the car. She barely broke a sweat there, and she drove brilliantly in the first half. Now it's all down to Ryan Ratcliffe to bring the Ginetta home in a strong podium position. The Rapier coming back in. I think that's going to be Mike Millard handing over to Adam Sharp, who's been rubbing his hands with glee and anticipation for the last half hour. I finally get to drive that machine in race conditions. Oh, and a spin! That's Ray Grimes losing it through the Dean hairpin. The back end overtakes the front. Oh dear, this is how he did it. Just too much throttle on the way through. This car doesn't have traction control or ABS. No electronics on the car. It's a pure racing machine. That's why Ray loves it, but it got the better of him on that occasion. So back into the pit lane comes the Aston Martin. Paul Bailey will no doubt hand back over to Andy Schulz. They're doing double shifts in this particular race. Well, Ray Grimes certainly hasn't slowed down as a result of that spin. He's got back on his way again. And out onto the circuit again goes Andy Schulz. There's Paul Bailey. Again, he looks like he's barely broken a sweat. These men, true professionals, really making light work of things from the outset. And now we've got a great battle on our hands as Tom Webb goes wheel to wheel with Ray Grimes down towards Gracelands. And he's got straight through. Barely even broke a sweat through that one either. This is brilliant stuff from Tom Webb. This is what I was saying before about the Team Webb BMW. They start slow, but they've got good fuel consumption. They've got a long game strategy, and this is where they're starting to come into their own. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for the victory here in their class. They're definitely my favourite at the moment. They start cautious. They know that it's not a 5-minute sprint. They go for it as a long endurance race. They've got a great strategy. So there is the Aston Martin lapping the Rapier once again. Must be a very satisfying moment for the Horsepower Racing team, although the Rapier coming back at him, oh, that would have been a nasty moment coming together at that point, considering there's so many laps between them. And into the pit lane comes Ray Grimes, and there is Anthony Reid waiting for him. So another scheduled stop from the Chevron GT4. This car doing a very good job in the early stages of the season. Now we're looking at Chris Jones in the Parker Porsche. Still looking good for the championship lead if they win their class, although they'll have to get a fastest lap in their category as well, and I have a feeling that they might not have done that. That Track Talk Chevron was a lot quicker when it was actually out on circuit, so they're going to have to find a couple of quick laps to gain those extra bonus points. Anthony Reid goes out, and that's the order at the moment. The Horsepower Aston still leading from the Parker Porsche, but now it's Team Webb up into third overall. It's game on.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
So the closing stages of the third round of the MSA British Endurance Championship, and that's a drive-through penalty. That is the 97, so some kind of problem then for the drive-through penalty. I'm getting word that it's actually a refueling infringement for the Chevron GT4. So in the last pit stop, when Ray Grimes handed over to Anthony Reid, there was a refueling infringement. So that can be anything from too many people refueling to not wearing gloves or whatever it might be. But that's a drive-through penalty for the Chevron GT4. That's going to cost them all sorts of time and possibly a race victory in class as well. The Rapier lapping the Ginetta. Oh, and there's big smoke! Big smoke from one of the Chevrons. Is that the GT4? It is! That's Anthony Reid. Big smoke out the back of the GT4. Disaster! Hampered with the drive-through penalty, and now this, the Team Webb BMW in the pit lane for a scheduled pit stop, and they're going to reap the benefits of this. So there is the 97 pulling off. Oh, that's going to leave all kinds of oil and fluids all over the circuit. That's going to become a bit of a hazard. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a safety car. They've been travelling around half the lap with all kinds of plumes of smoke and oil and dirt, whatever, flying behind the car as Tom Webb exits the pit lane in the BMW M3 CSL. And I would be very careful approaching Tarzan if I was one of the drivers out there. Well, there's the other Chevron, the GT3. Marcus Clutton currently behind the wheel. It's a damage limitation exercise, basically an extended test session now for the Chevron team. The GT3 a long way down the order, but they can still iron out the kinks of this car and do the development work with Cosworth while they've got an opportunity to. And wheel-to-wheel battling is definitely going to help their data up the inside of Ryan Ratcliffe in the Ginetta. Thanks very much, and I'm going to leave you alone now. So down they go. Oh, that's a very sick end to a very reliable car, but for once reliability has not been with them, and that is a big oil problem. You can see that. Yes, safety car is out, and I'm not at all surprised because half the track will be littered with that. So the marshals will be out there fixing that. And back in the pit lane again comes the BMW. Surely that's not scheduled. Oh no, they're just doing a quick splash and dash. I think that might be the last time they pit before the end of the race, and that's exactly why the safety car's out. Goodness me, Chris Jones very nearly bins it into the gravel in that hairpin upper Tarzan. The back end just sliding on the oil that was left behind there. So that's the reason we've got the safety car, and I have a feeling that this could be the opportunity Team Webb have been looking for to gain some ground. Well, there is the Aston and the Simpson Motorsport Porsche. Anthony Mott behind the wheel at the moment. Again, those two cars, the only ones that have run completely smoothly without issue, really. And they both come into the pit lane for what is probably going to be the last time. So into the pit lane comes Andy Schulz. I have a feeling he may well hand over to Paul Bailey for the last stint. If they're double stinting, this could be a good opportune moment. So Andy Schulz is out of the car. There go the marshals to work. Brilliant to see them out and about, making sure that we can go racing. Without them, we would be absolutely nowhere. So tribute to them for their hard work. And that's putting oil dust down basically to make sure that there's nobody going to be spinning off there. Chris Jones back in the car of the Team Parker Porsche as they go racing once again. Out of the pits goes Anthony Mott in the Simpson Porsche. And if we look back, we should see the Aston. Yep, there goes the Horsepower Racing Aston once again. Paul Bailey finishing off the race then in what looks like it's going to be a light to flag victory for the Horsepower Racing Aston. Even easier fashion than they did at Silverstone last time out. We look back, there's the Rapier. Still looking good in terms of its overall pace. Green flags, and away we go for the last section of the third round of the MSA British Endurance Championship. And it really is now a race of attrition, and this battle continues on. This is for the lead of Class 3. Tom Webb has caught up with Ryan Ratcliffe. He dives for the inside of Dean Hairpin, and he's got him. That's the lead of Class 3. The battle still raging between these two. And with the GT4 out of action, it's going to be a two-man war between Tom Webb and Ryan Ratcliffe right to the bitter end. And they're making a real race of it. Down towards the Chapman curve, and Tom Webb really has got him nailed there. It was James that brought the car home last time. It's going to be Tom who does it this time. And there's not much that Ryan Ratcliffe can do to hang on here. The Ginetta just hasn't got the pace of the BMW in this second half of the event. And they're being caught now by the Class 2 Porsche of Anthony Mott. Looking good for a strong podium finish. It'll be second in Class 2 for the Simpson Motorsport Porsche. What with the disappearance of the Track Talk Chevron a long time ago. And that is exactly what they needed to get. A strong podium finish for a team that has quietly got on with things and shown true professionalism right from the word go. Strong hopes for the Simpson Motorsport boys. Cook and Mott have definitely delivered above and beyond the call of duty, and it's admirable to see them doing so well. Up the inside of Ryan Ratcliffe in the Ginetta, and they've got him well nailed. Well, if I was the marshal, I'd be waving the blue flag at that Ginetta right now. They're holding up Paul Bailey in the Aston Martin. And down the straight there is the blue flag waving. So out of the way gets the Ginetta, and it's the Simpson Motorsport Porsche of Anthony Mott that will need to move out of the way next. He blips off the throttle. Paul Bailey wasn't quite expecting that. And that's the Chevron GT3 back in the pit lane. Once again, Marcus Clutton has brought that car in. Now have a look at the lap time so far. You can see the number 8, Rapier, has actually gone 1,000th of a second slower on lap 85. Then the 28 Aston, which did a 1:24.017. There it is. So that will be Andy Schultz's quickest lap, the 1:24.017. Adam Sharp has done a 1:24.018. So they are separated by 1,000th of a second, and the Rapier boys will want to get the fastest lap in before the end of the race to take a bit of pride away from the Aston Martin. And wow, he's just done it, 1:23.803. That is the new fastest lap of the race, having just gone 1,000th slower. He's now gone 0.2 of a second quicker. That's going to make things a little bit sour for the Aston Martin team. They wanted pole position, fastest lap and race win. They certainly didn't get pole position, and now they're certainly not going to get fastest lap if Adam Sharp keeps up that kind of pace. But crucially, they are going to take overall victory and the lead of the championship, I do believe, as they come out of the Brook Chicane for the last time. A brilliant drive from Andy Schulz and Paul Bailey. They haven't done a single thing wrong today, and it's 2 wins out of 2. The checkered flag is theirs. What a commanding drive. 3 hours, and they made it look like child's play. Magnificent work from Andy and from Paul. They have done more than enough to seal victory in a 3-hour attrition test of pure determination. And there comes Tom Webb across the line for a brilliant Class 3 win for Team Webb. James will be delighted. They finish behind Ian Loggy and Chris Jones in the Parker Porsche, who are second overall and the winners of Class 2. What a race! Rachel is down there with the winners in all 3 classes.
Well, congratulations, class winner again. We see you here again. Now, earlier on you were saying this week that you've been poorly and that you're worried that might affect today's race.
Yeah, so I've been in bed most of the week, so the boys thought it'd be funny to put me out for 2 hours, which is very good of them. But you know, we needed to do what we needed to do because the point situation at the moment is pretty tight. And we weren't in contention for the fastest lap, so I needed to stay out and use a new set of tyres to have a go at that, and that's why we did what we did today.
And how did you find it out there? And it's nice, dry, sunny. Did those conditions help you today?
Yeah, it was perfect. It was really nice to be racing in the dry for once. And
first time.
Yeah, first time for a while. Well, first time this year.
Yeah.
And thank you.
It's Chris on it.
This is Chris. Share a coat with Chris. So yeah, absolutely perfect. Car was great. And it was just like qualifying laps because there was hardly any traffic at all, so it was just flat out and then backed it off near the end, so dead happy with that.
Oh, fantastic. And moving forward to the next race, what are you going to take from this to there?
Yeah, I mean, it was important this weekend to win and get fastest lap to maintain the championship lead, and obviously Brands is going to be a different set of circumstances with the way the grid's going, so new challenge and we're looking forward to it.
Paul and Andy, congratulations yet again. How did you find it out there?
Yeah, it was a bit hot. It's a very demanding circuit in terms of the strain on your neck and your body.
Yeah.
But we weren't going at full chat because we didn't need to. We had such a good lead that we both backed it off a bit and just brought the car home safe, which is really what you need to do in an endurance race.
So that as a driver, knowing that you're at the front, you can just come in, so you can take your time in a way. You don't have that attack. Is that as satisfying?
I don't know. I didn't back it off too much, to be honest. I sort of kept at it because it keeps me motivated. And I wanted to try and keep fastest lap if I could. So that gives me the sort of spur to keep trying. But when the tyres go off, obviously you can't fight for fastest lap. So it's just relax a little bit, but make sure you've still got the pace on and try and get another lap, really.
Good. And the conditions out there, obviously the best conditions we've had all season so far. Did you enjoy it? Did you miss maybe the drama of the rain and the storms?
I did miss the rain as it goes. Yeah.
Did you though?
I did, yeah. Because
You've been sarcastic.
I got so used to driving it in the wet.
Yeah.
It was really weird driving it in the dry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. It moves around even though it's in the dry. You can just push it obviously a lot harder. And it's been a very rewarding win for Andy and ourselves. And we're looking forward to Brands.
And moving forward to the next race, this went book perfect. Like, it was a perfect race for you two. So what are you going to maybe change the next race, or are you going to keep it exactly the same?
No, we're going to be faster.
I like that. You're like, yeah, of course I am. Of course I am. Well, look, well done. Congratulations yet again.
Great. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Well, congratulations, class win. Tell us about the race.
It was pretty good out there. I mean, this circuit's really slippy, so we were just struggling with tyres for the whole race. James handed over in a good position. He did a good stint, and it's pretty uneventful. Apart from I pitted unnecessarily, my own fault, rather stupid of me. I just thought I had a puncture, but it was oil down, and I got a big, large piece of pickup at the same time. So, it wasn't ideal. We lost probably a pit stop there, but in the end, it didn't really matter because we came first anyway.
So there's the championship standings after a gripping race at Rockingham. And if that was only round 3, what's Brands going to provide? Don't miss it.